the roundtable won't be after this session. It will be after the next session because we have some time to recover. Next presentation will be about wildfire monitoring and modeling toward to meet operational needs with research. So Mr. Valero will be explaining to us. You already know
him. Thank you, Marta. So yeah, now I'll try to give an overview of the research we do at CERTEC here at UBC related to wildfire monitoring. As you have clearly seen this morning, we have a very big problem in wildfire research. And that is, it's not that. No. Wait. It's at the end. Okay, all right. So the problem is we don't quite understand fire behavior from the research point of view, and we have to recognize that, right? And our approach to that is to monitor fire. So the first thing we need to do is to measure fire behavior, fire dynamics in some way, and at real scale. So we can perform lots of laboratory tests, but at some point we need to measure real fire dynamics at a large scale. And the way we do that is through remote sensing techniques, because that allows us to get quantitative data about fire behavior with pretty good spatial and temporal resolutions. So we're not usually limited to just time average or spatial mean values, but we can get full distributions of variables such as rate of spread, heat flags, flame heights, things like that. For that, we mainly use infrared imagery and computer vision algorithms, because that allows us to rely on completely automated systems. So we don't rely on any specific user's input, and we can get systematic data, a lot of data, and that's very good. And that's, sorry. That's very good from the research point of view, obviously, but we also believe that that may have a great applicability to the operational field. Because if we can get to do that in real time and to get the right information arrive to the right people at the right time, that may inform decisions somehow. And that links very well with another area of research we have at CERTEC, which is data-driven fire spread forecasting. As you know, there are a lot of operational fire spread models, but they don't reproduce reality in general. And a nice strategy to solve that is to couple those models with observed information. So we have a simple model like rudder mills. That's not right by default, but if we can adjust that model based on observed information, ideally in real time, then we can improve that model. We have our own model of this type that relies on rudder mills model and includes an inverse modeling optimization loop, so that we measure fire spread and we compare the observed fire spread with the simulated fire spread, and we adjust the parameters of our fire spread model so that it resembles reality. And well, that's, I mean, there's a lot to say there, but I won't get into much detail. But I want to highlight that we tried to obtain a flexible implementation of that, so that we have a set of parameters that we can adjust according to the necessities, so that if we have enough computational resources, we can go for the best accuracy possible. But if we are, let's say, in the field, or we don't have the time, or we don't have enough resources, we can adjust some parameters to get simulation faster, obviously sacrificing some accuracy, but we have that option. Well, that's mainly our research concerning remote sensing. And now I want to highlight our challenges because, well, I don't know if you're familiar with the TRL scale, but that scale tells us how mature a technology is. So we as technology researchers start at the bottom of that scale, and we need to go all the way up until we create something that users can actually use, right? And if we focus on Certec's research in remote sensing, I would say that if we apply our systems to research, I would say we have a pretty mature system, because, I mean, Certec has a long history of experimental burns. We have participated in a lot of experimental campaigns in Spain, but also in the UK, in Australia, in Peru. So, I mean, our systems are pretty useful from the research point of view, but I would say our main challenge is that we're much further down that scale if we consider the operational world. So, at some point, we may want to carry our research algorithms to the real world, to the operational world, and we're much more behind in that sense. So our current challenge is to go up that scale in the operational world. So I would say, obviously, we need to work further on our remote sensing algorithms, but there is something very key that we need, and that has already been said here today. And I'm very glad for that, because what we need to contemplate is the end user needs. So if we want our systems to be applicable in the field somewhere at some point, I don't know, in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, maybe now is the right moment to consider the needs of the people that might use that someday. So I'm really looking forward to the discussion after this session or next one. And obviously we have limitations. Like every researcher in fire research, we have very little data, experimental data, so we're always happy to coordinate efforts to get that data. And at some point too, if we want this to become real, we will need industry support. Because, I mean, we are researchers, we have the algorithms, but to implement that, we need aerial platforms, we need communication networks, we need a lot of technology that university cannot provide. So we need to link all three legs, like university, industry, and fire responders. Well, that's pretty much what I already said. We need data. We need to know the end user needs. And, well, obviously, from the research community, we're always happy to have discussions, more ideas, how to develop our research, and yeah, how to apply that maybe to different fields. So, on the other hand, we can offer what we have. So we have a series of software and hardware applications and tools that we are happy to share with anyone that wants to use it. So if you're planning a research campaign, an experimental burning or whatever, and you think you may benefit somehow from this, I mean, we're more than happy to participate in that. And we have a nice laboratory up there too. It's not the US Forest Service Fire Lab, but it's pretty nice too. And yeah, we can provide also, but I want to highlight that that's not limited to the research community. So if the operational people or decision makers at some point may want some kind of scientific analysis of any kind, we're also like very looking forward to that. And that's it. Thank you.